We're not there yet. But for those maniacs that might have been training too hard or sleeping, eating, and growing today, the Supreme Court, after almost 50 years, overthrew the Roe versus Wade decision and gave individual states jurisdiction over the barbaric procedure we call abortions. Now, as you can see, the separation between certain states has never been more clearer or definitive since I've ever been on this earth. And it actually warms my heart to hear this decision, because I value all human life more than anything else. And in this soon-to-be underpopulated world, or at least underpopulated in certain areas, this is definitely a victory for all of us. And it's just going to show, and it's already showing with the outrage, mainly by the leftists of the country, as well as the feminists, who us maniacs call gals, that seem to think no one has a right to tell them what they can do with their body. Yet, and on this day and age of sexual harassment, cries of rape, it sure amazes me how many of these women seem to still want to spread their legs and do an act that they say demeans them. But at the same time, they want the power to indiscriminately have intercourse with anybody at any time, yet knowing the true purpose of it, they don't want any of the repercussions of it. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I think the blessing of a child is an incredible thing, a great thing, and something that I will do very soon. Sad to say, after all these years. But I'm against abortion in any way, shape, or form. You know, obviously, if the mother's life is in danger, which is extremely rare, and in the case of forcible rape, yes, I could see those instances, but there should also be a clause to put the baby up for adoption. If a state wanted to mandate that, I wouldn't have a problem with it. It is a cop-out. Jack the Great, you made a good point. Rape victims. They should be put up for adoption. OG Ghost sums it up very well. Without a man's intervention, that other human would not be inside her, that woman. So it's not just her body. They are, and you're going to see hypocrisy. You're going to see some of the most vile forms of womanhood, which I wouldn't even call them women. Females, patricidal, psychotic, demonic females coming out of the woodwork, as we're seeing already. Hello, Zach Walters. So getting to today's topic, MOM, we're seeing the differences between, say, for instance, New York and Texas. And I'm sure that'll be a pro-abortion state, New York, as well as many others, probably Massachusetts, some of your northeastern liberal, warped, depressing towns. Thoughts on abortion of disabled children? No, that's not the way to go. What's going to separate us from animals? You know, in countries, or when the United Nations talk speaks of human rights violations, at the forefront, at least, I mean, we're going in the right step with this overturned Supreme Court decision, but the United States, I would say, is right at the top with human rights violations. With the last 50 years of legalized abortion. But that was never said. Hello, Ethan, from the gayest city on earth in America, Atlanta, Georgia. Plenty of 10-10-10s in Atlanta, Georgia. Abdul K has a very obvious, good overlooked point. Only adulterers need abortion. Only those that break one of the 10 commandments. They're not the 10 suggestions, they are the 10 commandments. And you will always live a better life when you don't violate any of them. Thoughts on abortion of severely disabled fetuses? Why condemn someone to a life of being hooked up to life support and devices? Because, Kaizen, there's always a chance. And in many cases, it's been proven medical science can cure those disabilities, or at least treat them in a good way to provide a quality of life. Double D makes a good point. Politically, women are net negative, but economically equal. Plastered in on a news headline. Free land is no longer a constitutional right. That's probably in essence, the main point and the main victory to bring this to bear. How would that ever be a constitutional right? To kill an unborn child? Thank you, Abdul K. That's a great statement. Took a lot of wisdom, but it's very obvious. And that's a great idea for a t-shirt. Only adulterers need abortion rights. Thank you, Abdul K. OG Go says, ask many disabled humans if they want to be killed or how happy are they. Most of the disabled people are the most naturally happy people in the world and a joy to be around. I would agree 100%. As a matter of fact, 100% of the disabled people I ever met seem to be very happy. And they're like us misfits. They aren't run by this satanic cookie cutter world that others seem to get so caught up in and think that's what life. Double D says, worshiping celebrities and corporations, you get what you work for. Yeah. Lenny Jr. told his mom to kick the cord. Beat says, today's ruling shows that the real father always wins, Lenny. Yes, and I was surprised. I was very surprised at this when I heard it this morning. I was Pat, but I prefer to call them Christian values. Good point, Bone Chip. They don't know if Venus will need permanent life support. James M., God bless you, sir. James goes on record here on the Big Lenny Live saying he will adopt any child of any disability and race. And you know what, James? I think a lot of people would too. Brent Acorn passed the Capitol today, and there were nothing but ugly women protesting. What the heck are they worried about? Some of them have to pay someone to get them pregnant. What about cases involving incest or rape? Prosecute the rapist. Prosecute those that are committing forced incest. But there's plenty of room for adoption on a soon-to-be underpopulated world. Thoughts on pregnant men? Well, those same people that are going to be marching and rioting, those same gals, some of them believe that men can get pregnant. What did I miss, Nikki Banks? Have you heard of one of the greatest decisions the Supreme Court has made almost in my lifetime, allowing states to choose whether abortion is illegal or not? OG Ghost says, here's a crazy idea about not participating in the act of breeding if you don't intend on breeding. Sex being a leisure activity is worse than heroin addicts in my mind. It is, OG Ghost. That's a very good point. And it's actually not crazy. It's just something I've never heard or anybody said before. But on this live, I'm hearing things from intelligent maniacs that not only I never heard before anywhere, but it makes incredible common sense. Thank you, OG Ghost.